Welcome back to the First Line Library. I'm Jordan, and today we're going over part one of my bookshelf tour. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome guys. I thought this would be a fun video to go over all my books I have on my shelves. Disclaimer, I have not read all of these books, but to me that's kind of the point. I wanted to have a library where I could go to at any time and pick a book off the shelf that I haven't read, or in case sometimes I wanted to reread a book. So that's what I'm doing. I'm building up my library. I'm not sure how many books I have, somewhere around 500 mark, which I believe 1,000 is what you would really consider to be a library. So one day I'll get there, but today this is what I've got and this is what I'm building. So starting off with this first shelf here, this is going to be all my hardcover and paperback sci-fi and fantasy, and then I'll move on to the next shelf, which is all of my mass market copy books, which has sci-fi, fantasy, general fiction, and mystery and thriller in it. So let's get into it. All right, starting with this first shelf, this is going to be all my hardcover and trade paperback science fiction and fantasy books. Throughout all these shelves, there are some books that are my wife's, so I'll point those out when we get to them. But starting off first is this collection of Bone by Jeff Smith. This is the complete colored collection. This is a graphic novel, really good story, really quick reads, great for all ages, highly recommend. Even if you can pick up the black and white version of these, I would recommend it. It's fantastic. Next is this science fiction anthology series. I got this when I took a writing course in college. Got a lot of great science fiction authors from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and really good stuff. All right, next is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. This is the first in this trilogy. I have not read it, but I really am looking forward to getting into this. I know a lot of people love this series, so I have it on my shelf ready to go. Next is this first edition hardcover of Nemesis by Isaac Asimov. Found this at Half Price Books. Could not pass it up for the price, $6, so awesome find. Next are these special editions of Travis Baldry's Legends of Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust. These were the most recent releases. I got these pre-ordered from Barnes & Noble with their pre-order sale, so I saved a lot of money, plus I had some gift cards, so great deal on these. Next is this hardcover of The Wizard of Oz. This I got for my wife a while ago from Half Price Books. Next is The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. Have not read that, but it's ready to go on the shelf whenever I'm ready. Next one is Peter Pan. This is a great illustrated edition I bought for my wife. Also, I believe from Half Price Books. If not, it was from the thrift store. Next are these three books. These are also my wife's. These are like Disney alternate universe versions of princess stories. Next is a first cover hardcover edition of The Mists of Avalon. I got this from Half Price Books. Great deal. Next are my Shannara series. This is the first King of Shannara, also from Half Price Books. Great edition. Elfstones of Shannara and The Wish Song of Shannara. These are all hardcover first editions. Really great finds, I think all for $10 each. All right, next shelf here, I have The Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. This is a signed copy that I picked up from a book fair that he was at here in Columbus, Ohio. Fortunately, I didn't get there in time to get it signed by him, but I was able to pick up a copy that was signed, and I got a great deal on it. It was only $15, so great find. Next is The Princess of Mars. Haven't read that. Then Octavia E. Butler, Kindred. Really want to get to this sometime soon. This is, that classic sci-fi time traveling story, so I want to get to that. Next is one of my favorites is Who Goes There? by John W. Campbell. This was a short story novella that inspired The Thing, which then John Carpenter made into a movie. I love that movie. This is a really quick read, good for, you know, those winter blizzard nights. Next was going to be my Bound and Broken series. I have the hardcover of The Fall. Then I have the broken binding edition of A Blood and Fire, also signed and numbered. And then I have hardcover of A Darkness and Light. And then I have a War and Ruin paperback and The Exile in paperback. I am only 10% through this, and boy, is it a chonker. So I'll eventually get to this and get the series wrapped up. Next is Ready Player One. Have not read this, but the movie is awesome. Leviathan Wakes. I have not watched any of The Expanse, but I was really intrigued by this, and I love this cover. It's just awesome. So I'll eventually get to that. Next are the first two in this series by Bernard Cornwell, Arthurian retellings. Want to get to those sometime soon. Next, I have the first two in his Viking series. I haven't read those, but again, I'm ready to get into these historical fiction sometime soon. Next is The Black Company by Glenn Cook. Have not got to that yet, but eventually it's on here on the shelf when I'm ready. Next is Kings of the Wild. This one I have been hearing different things about, so I'm not sure if I'll ever get to this or not, but it is on the shelf. If I don't get to it, maybe I'll pass it on to somebody else. Next, I have this first edition hardcover of Domes of Fire by David Eddings. I don't know anything about this, but I picked it up for $2 at Half Price Books, so I couldn't pass it up, especially such good condition. Next are going to be the Rune Lords series, starting with The Rune Lords by David Farland. Gosh, I just love these covers. They're so good. I'm missing the second in the series in the hardcover. I have it in mass market, but I'm trying to get all of these in hardcover first edition. So here's the Wizardborn. That's the third book. And then moving down to the next shelf, I have The Layer of Bones, and then The Sons of the Oak. I have not read either of these two yet, but they're here, ready to go. Next, I have this copy of The Ruins of Galorin. I don't know anything about this book other than that it's kind of like YA fantasy, but not your typical YA fantasy. More like just young reader fantasy. But from what I've heard, people really enjoy this. Next is A Boy and His Dog at the End of the World. I love post-apocalyptic stories. I've been trying to find this one for a while. Finally found it at a used bookstore. It's in halfway decent condition, but really looking forward to getting to that soon. Next up is my first hardcover edition of Alien by Alan Dean Foster. Alien, I think, is probably my favorite sci-fi horror movie. This book is a little bit different from the movie. It's also really short, but it's fun, great story, and gosh, that is just so cool. Next is The Black Sun Rising. I picked this one up at half price for $6, first edition hardcover. This one I've been trying to find for a long time. I just love the artwork. This is the same artist that does all the Stormlight Archive books. It's just so cool. Next, and this is a recent pickup for me, is This Is How You Lose a Time War. Really excited to get into this this year. Next up is Metro 2033, another like post-apocalyptic story. This one is also translated from Russian, I believe, so it's a little bit difficult to read. I started it a while ago and I kind of soft DNF'd it, but I really want to get back into this. Next, I have Wizard's First Rule. I've just always been kind of intrigued by Terry Goodkind and kind of the controversy that's behind him. So I picked it up on a really good sale, trade paperback. And then I found, I think this is the third book in the series, Blood of the Fire. I found this at half price for $2. I just couldn't pass it up. Next I have here is Breach of Peace by Daniel Green. Top tier booktuber there. I really enjoyed this first book in the series, the Lawful Time series. The second book I didn't love as much, but I am looking forward to eventually getting like the re-edited version of his first 2 books and checking that out and see how it is. But I really do like Breach of Peace. It's super short novella, really quick, fun read. Next, I have the first book in the Bloodsworn saga, The Shadow of the Gods. I've had this on my shelf for quite some time. I just not gotten to it because I really wanted to get into The Faithful and the Fallen. And I eventually did. I read Malice and I loved it so much. I ended up getting the rest of the series. As you can see, I'm in the middle of reading Valor right now. So once I finish up Valor, I'll get to Ruin and Wrath. And then I'll circle around and I'll finally get to the Bloodsworn Saga series. Then right after that, I have Wool. This is the first book in the Silo series. I have not watched the Apple Plus TV show yet because I really wanted to get to the first book and then go to the show. But at this point, I have so many books on my list. I may just start the show and then eventually get to the book. All right, so my next shelf, I have the first 2 books in the Redwall series. I have not read these. I have watched the animated show a long time ago and really enjoyed it as a kid. But I got both of these from, I think, the thrift store for $1 or $2 each. Couldn't pass it up, and they're like brand new condition too. Next, I have New Spring. This is the prequel book to the Wheel of Time series. I have only read The Eye of the World, and it took me a while to get through The Eye of the World, so I'm not sure if I'll ever get through the series, but it's on these. I have the prequel, and I have the last book in the series in hardcover I found at Half Price Books for really good condition, so I bought that in hardcover. I have the first 3 books of the Wheel of Time series in mass market, so you'll see those when we get to that shelf. Next, I have The Infernal City. This is a Elder Scrolls book. I think it's set after Morrowind and before Skyrim. Not too certain, but I really love Skyrim, and I picked this up in hopes that it would be somewhat close to that. Not sure yet, haven't gotten to it. Eventually I will. Next I have Empire of the Vampire. I enjoy vampire stories. I don't know too much about this book, but I picked it up on a sale from a local bookstore for like $6 or $7. So it's on the shelf here, ready to be read. Next I have The Lathe of Heaven by Ursula K. Le Guin. This I read quite some time ago for a science fiction writing class that I took in college. I don't remember too much about this book, but Ursula K. Le Guin is kind of one of the goats in sci-fi and fantasy, so good book. Next I have some C.S. Lewis. This is like an anthology series of short stories, and then his Out of the Silent Planet, the space series. I have the first one in that paperback, and then I have the next 2 in these hardcover editions. Then here's another one of those Disney princess stories that's kind of like an alternate reality version of my wife's. Next, I have The Silverblood Promise. This was my most anticipated read, and I still have not gotten to it. I really want to get to this as soon as possible. So it's on the shelf, ready to go. Next, I have The Giver. I read this back in like 4th or 5th grade. Great fun read. Next is The Dragon Riders of Pern. I think this is the first 3 books. Dragonflight, Dragon Quest, and The White Dragon. Found that for $2 at half price. Next, I have the first in the series. This is the Pattern Mage trilogy, Promise of Blood.
Haven't read that yet. Next is Twilight. Great edition. Never read it, but I've always wanted to read it and check it out. I know another booktuber I watched, Jonathan Cohn, he actually really enjoyed this series, so I'm hoping that I will too. For some strange reason, I enjoy the movies, maybe just to make fun of them, but to each their own. Next, I have Mist. I have not read that. Next, I have Cloud Atlas. Have not read that. And then I picked this up for my wife. This is the first book in the series, the 100. I can't remember which TV network picked this up, but they have this show on Netflix that's pretty fun, sci-fi TV show. So I figured I'd check out the book, see if my wife likes it. All right, so this next shelf I have Michael Moorcock's Elric of Melnimity. I don't know too much about this other than it's pretty like dark fantasy. So I found this at a store on sale for like $5. This is volume 1. I wanted to pick that up. Next I have Larry Niven's Ringworld. There's a movie called Elysium that is very similar. Has like a world on a ring. So I thought this looked really cool. Next I have Vox Machina's Kith and Kin. This is about the two twin sisters from the Critical Role TV show Legend of Vox Machina, and their actual D&D campaign. Then I have this short read of Warriors and Weapons from Dungeons and Dragons. Nothing too crazy. Picked that up from a thrift store. Next I have a first edition hardcover of Aragon. And then I have this short copy of Bridge to Terabithia. Great fun movie. I really enjoyed the movie, so picked this up. Great short read, great for all ages. So moving on, I have this first edition of Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone. Then I have this pop-up version of The Prisoner of Azkaban that my sister-in-law got me for Christmas. And then I have this 4-box edition of the first 4 books. I picked up for $6 from the thrift store. Great condition. And then I have the Half-Blood Prince here in hardcover. I think I also got that from the thrift store. Next I have The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear. These are both, standard trade paperback. Then I have The Slow Regard of Silent Things. And then I picked up The Narrow Road Between Desires. This is a signed copy that I got from a local bookstore. Didn't get it in person signed by Patrick Rothfuss, but they had a bunch of copies signed there. Next is Empire of Silence. This is the UK edition. I like this so much better than the US edition. So I picked this one up, got shipped. And then the last on this shelf is Contact by Carl Sagan. Not read this, but I saw the movie a long time ago, and I love, space sci-fi movies, so I figured I'd pick that up. Also, I just finished Empire of Silence, and I liked it. I have some thoughts on it. I feel like I'm in the same boat as most people with the first book, and I think I'll start really loving the series in the second. All right, so the last shelf on this bookshelf down here. So I'll start at the bottom here. I have the first Mistborn trilogy, Elantris, and then I have Rhythm of War in this trade paperback. Then I have Skyward. I have not read any of these. I've only read the first 2 books in the Stormlight Archive. I'm not sure if I'll ever get to the Mistborn series. But I have these here on my shelf just in case. Then I have the series of Unfortunate Events, the first in the series, The Bad Beginning. I read most of these books when I was younger, so I picked up this just to have on my shelf because, it's nostalgic. And then moving up, I have quite a few of my Tolkien books. I have The Letters from Father Christmas. I have Tolkien's translation of Beowulf, Fall of Arthur, and The Legend of Sigurd and Gudrun. And then I have this is a Tolkien miscellany. It's got a bunch of stories in it. Smith of Wootton Major, Farmer Giles of Ham, Tree and Leaf, Adventures of Tom Bombadil, and Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And then up here I have Annihilation. I'm not usually a fan of the movie covers, but I think I got this for a couple bucks at a thrift store. I really enjoyed the movie, so eventually I'll get to reading this. And then next, going back down here, I have The Black Prism by Brent Weeks, In the Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks. I read the short story that's part of this series, and I thought it was pretty fun, so I picked up these books used. Next, I have Simon Armitage, his translation of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Then I have Project Hail Mary, The Martian by Andy Weir. And really enjoyed the movie. I haven't read either one of these, but again, they're on the shelf ready to go. Then I have War of the Worlds. I have this copy of System of Collapse by Martha Wells. I've listened to almost all of the audiobooks for these. Really enjoyed them. Then I have The Once and Future King by T.H. White. Probably the most famous Arthurian retelling. And then I have this first hardcover edition of The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. Then I have the second in the series, Stone of Farewell. And then I have these first two volumes of Roger Zelazny's The Chronicles of Amber. I got these from the Half Price bookstores as well for a pretty good price. I don't know too much about these. They're kind of like sci-fi fantasy, but they're cool covers. So they're on the shelf here, ready to be read. All right, so this next shelf is going to be all of my mass market books. This will have all my science fiction and fantasy, plus general fiction and mystery and thrillers. So start from this side. I'll start from the bottom because these are all in alphabetical. So I have The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I have the first three and the fifth books in this series. I forget what the series is called, but there's a Disney movie based off of this first book here. And these are great, fun, for all ages fantasy reads. Next is a mass market copy of Nemesis by Isaac Asimov. Then I have quite a bit of his Foundation trilogy. And then I have this translation of Beowulf. And then I have Mars by Ben Bova. Going down, I have Moonrise and Moon War by Ben Bova. And then New Earth and New Frontiers. New Frontiers, I believe, is a collection of stories that he wrote. In the Mars, I forget what the whole arching series is, but these are short stories from the whole series. Next, I have The Martian Chronicles, The Postman by David Brin, and then starting into some of my Shannara books, I have The First King of Shannara, The Sword of Shannara, and The Druid of Shannara. And then down here I have The Wish Song of Shannara. Then I have a handful of the Dresden Files. I've only read the first two. I really, really enjoyed the first one. The second one I thought was okay, but I've heard a lot of good things about the third and the fourth one, so I'm ready to get into those as soon as I can. And then next I have some Orson Scott Card, Ender's Game, Speaker of the Dead, and then one of his more fantasy books, Seventh Son. All right, so moving down to the next shelf. Start down here again. I have Dishonored, The Corroded Man. This is a sequel to the first Dishonored game, which I really, really enjoyed. Next, I have 2001: A Space Odyssey. Then I have Glenn Cook, The Shadow Games. I have not read that. Right above that, I have Alien Isolation, which is based off of the game Alien Isolation, which is one of my favorite video games. And I also really, really love this book. It's such a fun read. And the audiobook is incredible too. Next, I have Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. I have this Blade Runner version of it. It's like the standard movie poster on it, which is actually a good movie cover design. So right above that, I have Stephen R. Donaldson, Lord Fowl's Bane. I've heard mixed things about this series, but I picked this up for like $1 at the thrift store. Then I have Diamond Throne by David Eddings, another dollar thrift store pickup. Right above that, I have Steven Erickson's Gardens of the Moon. This is a book and a series I really, really want to get into. I just haven't had a chance to dive into it yet. I know this is a deep book, and I think I have to clear out my schedule and not have any other books at the same time. So at some point, I'll get to this. Next, I have a few of the other Rune Lords books. I have the first one here, the Rune Lords, and then I have the second book. This is the one I don't have in hardcover. Then coming back down, I have Shadow of the Queen by Raymond E. Feist, Magician's Apprentice by Raymond E. Feist. I've been trying to find this book for a long time. Right above that, Black Sun Rising, which I have the hardcover of, so I may eventually get rid of this one. I have Outlander right above that. Not super fantasy, but it's like Portal fantasy. It's a fun read. If you've seen the show, the first season and the first book are practically the same. Right above that, The Princess Bride. Haven't read this, but I love the movie. And then I have Dragon's Bane. This is not a book I've read yet, but I really want to get to this. So yeah, then I have Future World. This is like the sequel to Westworld. If you ever seen the original Westworld movie, fun movie, but also the TV show is pretty good. At least the first 2 seasons I really enjoyed. Then I have Elizabeth Hayden's Rhapsody and Prophecy, another series that I want to get into. Coming down here, I have Starship Troopers by Robert A. Heinlein. I am currently partway through this. I'm listening to the audiobook, and it's really fun, actually. I'm really enjoying it. I love the movie, too. And the movie is a little bit different from the book. The movie is a little more... it has a lot more funny points to it. It's a little more... it's a little different, so... Next, I have some Dune books. Dune House Atreides, the first Dune, and this awesome... copy of Dune Messiah. I have not read Dune yet. I really enjoyed the movies, the Denis Villeneuve movies. So eventually I'll get to Dune, but it might be a while. Next is Assassin's Apprentice, Robin Hobb, The Queen. Haven't read it yet, but I will. I promise I will get to it. Next is Battlefield Earth by L. Ron Hubbard. Then I have another copy of Redwall. I really enjoyed this copy, so I'm probably going to keep it. And then I have The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, and Dragon Reborn, the first 3 books in the Wheel of Time. I only got maybe a third of the way through The Great Hunt, and I had to set it down. But I hope to actually get back to the series, at least to get to the first 3 books. We shall see. All right, this next shelf here... I have, starting down here, is Taliesin. This is another Arthurian retelling. Then I have Red Sister and Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. Then I have some Ursula K. Le Guin. I got the 2 copies of The Earthsea here. Really enjoy these. One of my favorite of all ages fantasy books. And then I have these copies of The Chronicles of Narnia. This here is a somewhat unfinished book nook of the wardrobe from The Chronicles of Narnia. My wife and I made this together, mostly my wife, and I helped. Next I have Shadow Moon, This is like a sequel to Willow, the movie. And then I have the first book here, The Lies of Lacomoria and the Gentleman Bastard series. This one I picked up with the intention to read right away. Didn't happen, unfortunately. Next, I have all my Game of Thrones minus the Dance of Dragons, but I finally found this copy of Game of Thrones, this cover I've been looking for a long time, so I was really happy to find that. All right, so the next shelf here, I have The Magic of Recluse and The Towers of Sunset. I haven't read those. I have another Michael Moorcock book. This is, I'm not sure which part in the Elric series this is, but I found this for like 50 cents at a thrift store. Couldn't pass it up. Then I have The Protector by Larry Niven. The Fall of Reach is the first book in the Halo series. Then I have Red Mars by Kim Stanley Robinson. Then I have this mass market copy of the first Harry Potter book I found at a thrift store. I have Homeland, the first in the Dritz series. And then I'm not sure where this one's at. The Orc King. I found this at a local bookstore for like $3 on sale, so I picked it up. Next is one of my favorite books of all time. This is Predator Forever Midnight. Cannot find this anywhere. My copy is falling apart, and the cheapest one I've found online that's maybe in a little better condition than this is $85. So I'm going to hold on to that guy. Next I have Hyperion. Haven't read that yet. Then I have the first two books in the Witcher series. I've read the first one, The Last Wish. This one is kind of a bunch of those short stories, which I really enjoyed. The Blood of Elves, I can't remember if this is the first like narrative full novel or not. I haven't read it yet. Next I have the first three Stormlight books. I've read The Way of Kings and Wars of Radiance. Really, really enjoyed those. Haven't gotten to Oathbringer yet. As you can see, it's a chonker, so one day. Coming down here, I have this trilogy of John Scalzi. I don't know anything about this trilogy, but it's sci-fi space, and I really, really enjoyed Old Man's War. I am, maybe a fifth of the way through the second book, The Ghost Brigade, but I couldn't pass up picking up the rest of the series in mass market from the used bookstore. So I finally got those. I'll eventually get through the series. I really, really enjoy it. I also love the art on these. My favorite artist, John Harris, does all the cover art for the Old Man War series. And then I have this John Steinbeck's The Acts of King Arthur and His Noble Knights. I love Arthurian legends, and I found this at a antique store. I couldn't pass that up. The last on this shelf is Heroes Die. I don't know a lot about this, but the author is Matthew Woodring Stover, who wrote the Revenge of the Sith novelization, which is incredible. And I found this. I found a lot of people talking about this. He said it was just such a fun read, so I ended up picking this up from a thrift store or a Goodwill for $1. So that was a great find. So this next shelf here is finishing out my sci-fi and fantasy here on the left. Down here at the bottom, I have Tolkien's Smith of Wootton Major and Farmer Giles of Ham. Then I have H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, The Invisible Man. Great short, fun reads, classics. Next, I have Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman, Dragon Wing. This is the first in the Deathgate cycle. Don't know anything about it. Picked it up at the thrift store. So who knows if I'll ever get to it, but it's here. Next, I have the Dragons of Winter Night and Dragons of Spring Dawn. I am currently making my way through Dragons of Autumn Twilight right now. I really enjoy it. It's one of those books where I just like picking up a chapter here and there and keeping it prolonged. So it's like a really fun, just adventure fantasy read. Right above that, I have T.H. White, The Sword and the Stone. And then I have the Book of Merlin, which I believe this is what he wrote after the Once and Future King. And then I have these first edition mass market copies of The Dragon Bone Chair and Stone of Farewell by Tad Williams. Then I have The Icarus Hunt by Timothy Zahn, and I just picked this up. This is The Dying Earth by Jack Vance, which is the author that inspired George R.R. Martin to write. All right, so next is where my mystery and thriller starts. So I have Hairpin Bridge and No Exit by Taylor Adams. Both really good. I prefer No Exit more. That one was such a fun read. I read that in one day when it was snowing. Perfect time for it. Next is CJ Box Open Season. I think Paramount recently came out with a show called, I think it was just called Joe Pickett, but that's the character from it. Then I have the second book, Savage Ron. I have not read these yet, but I eventually will. Right above that, I have The Lost Symbol by Dan Brown. And then starting with my Agatha Christie, I have Death on the Nile, ABC Murders, After the Funeral, Halloween Party, Murder on the Orient Express, another copy of Murder on the Orient Express, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, Murder in Retrospect, Death Comes as the End, The Mirror Cracked, and then I have And Then There Were None, and then an alternate version of And Then There Were None called 10 Little Indians. Coming down here, I have all of the Splinter Cell books based off of the Tom Clancy Splinter Cell game, which is another one of my favorite video games, and I love this series. So the first one titled Splinter Cell, then Splinter Cell Operation Barracuda, Checkmate, Fallout, Endgame, Conviction. And these two are from the same story, but from Sam Fisher's perspective and the team hunting him, their perspective. Really, really fun, interesting reads. This is Aftermath. I have not read that yet. Eventually I will. Right above that, I have The Division, Broken Dawn, based off the game The Division. And then starting with my Jack Carr, I have The Terminal List, Savage Son. I'm missing True Believer, the third in the series. I can't find that in mass market. But when I do, I'll add it to the collection. Next one is Devil's Hand, and then In the Blood. And then coming down to this last shelf, I have Only the Dead and Red Sky Morning. I'll come back down here. So I have some Michael Crichton, Eaters of the Dead, Jurassic Park, The Andromeda Strain, and Timeline. And these are my wife's like cozy mystery books, Death by Pumpkin Spice and Death by Vanilla Latte. Then I have American Assassin by Vince Flynn. And then I have The Bourne Identity, The Bourne Ultimatum, which the Bourne movies were based off these books. And then I have Z for Zachariah, which I really enjoyed. Great post-apocalyptic, post-pandemic book. Super short, quick read. Then I have Roger B. Parker's Stranger in Paradise, which if anyone has seen the Tom Selleck movies, these are what the movies are based off of. Then I have Edgar Allan Poe's 10 Great Mysteries, Kane's Jawbone, which is a puzzle book, and then a book called Death Watch. Not sure what this is about, but I picked it up from half price for like $1. And coming down here, starting off my general fiction and mass market, I have Watership Down, Pride and Prejudice, Clockwork Orange, Redcoat by Britta Cornwell, The Hounds of Baskerville by Arthur Conan Doyle, The Three Musketeers, The Little Prince, The Great Gatsby, Lord of the Flies, The Assassination of Jesse James, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Call of the Wild, Lonesome Dove, which I need to read. Everyone says I need to read it, so I eventually will. And then Animal Farm, and then Appaloosa by Robert B. Parker. And then this is, I don't know if not sure most people know what this is. Bullet Made Tambourine. This is a book written by the lead vocalist of The Devil Wears Prada, a metalcore band that I really enjoy. This was written over a few years of touring and writing. It's lyrical prose with some journaling into it. Really interesting read. I read this. It took me a while to get through this because there's some philosophical takes in it. So it's a really good thinker read. Coming down here at the bottom, I have Gary Paulson, The Rifle, The Island, the Transale Saga. I have not read any of those, but I love the Hatchet series. So the Hatchet, Brian's Winter, The River, and Brian's Return. I have another copy of the Hatchet. I have many copies of the Hatchet. Then I have The Catcher in the Rye, read that back in high school. Of Mice and Men, The Pearl, read those in high school. And Travels with Charlie, also by John Steinbeck. Treasure Island, Mark Twain, Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Slaughterhouse 5, read that in high school. Didn't understand it, so I need to get to that again and see what I remember about it. And then last year I have One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Not read this book, but the movie is pretty incredible. So,
well, that's going to wrap up part 1 of my bookshelf tour. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I thought this would be a fun video. I was also inspired by a couple other booktubers who recently done this. So go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that bell for notifications so you can get part 2 when it comes out. Thanks again, guys. I hope to talk to you guys down in the comments. That's it for now. So take care and God bless.